Hello, Mark Crossfield here. Welcome to the Golf Swing Weekly Fix. We've got more swings coming at you through my apps. I've got a new app coming out soon which relates to another YouTube channel I've got where I answer YouTube comments, Facebook questions and Twitter comments. So head over there as well if you want to see some Q&As with myself. Then just press the link down that will appear somewhere down here. Follow that one through. We've got another app that's going to link to that channel coming very soon as well. So we've got question of the week today as well. Loads to do, swings to fix. So it's not raining yet. Let's get stuck in. So swings sent through the app, decent movements in here. We've got some certain issues that we're seeing. I would like to see you set the club back a little bit more with a fraction more left arm rotation. So we can just get the shaft laying a little bit more at this line on the way back. The slightly steep angle on the way back, or upright angle of the shaft, with the lack of left arm rotation, what happens is we see you on the backswing completing okay, but as soon as you start your downswing, let's see, I think your hands move around that area. Yeah, so your hands are moving down on that yellow line, but the first movement as you bring the club down is you just set that shaft above that line, where ideally we would be seeing that shaft dropping down below that line. If you look at my swing here, my hand plane, say, coming down maybe around there, I think. Let's bring it down, yeah, and then you can see how the shaft just instantly wants to drop below that hand plane. If the shaft plane is getting, or the shaft angle is below the plane or the path of the hands, you got a much better chance of squaring the club face through impact and hitting a better shot. With your swing, what we see as well, if we just take you to setup, is we see, and this is a product of what we're talking about in left arm rotation, look how high your hands are getting through impact as you simply try and find a functional impact position. So let's give you a drill for left arm rotation to try and get you using the shaft in a better way and squaring up the face a bit easier. So a little bit of forearm rotation drill. Take a tee. And I want you to swing just with your left hand, hold on with your grip, normal grip, left hand, top of the club, and I want you to place a tee on top of the kind of bottom of your left forearm where it's parallel with the shaft. Now what you're going to do is make just left arm swings while holding the tee parallel with the shaft. It's just take the club back with your left hand, and I want you to try and get the butt end of your club pointing much more down towards the ball. Okay, what you're doing, if you watch the tee here, what happens is the tee's parallel with the shaft. As you take your arm back without that rotation, is you tend to get a little bit stuck in here. So what happens is you tend to not roll that tee over. So I want you to feel that not only is that shaft coming back on that slightly what we would call flatter angle, I want you to feel that you're doing it by rotating your left arm a little bit more. This is going to help you with that downswing issue where we see where you pull down a little bit steep with the shaft. So trying to get over that hand plane with the shaft by rotating your arm a bit more on the way back. So feel that the tee basically rotates back, so it's pointing much more down at where your imaginary ball would be rather than pointing so much up at the sky. This rotation of your forearm is going to help you get more of a feeling of dropping the shaft on the downswing to then hit out at the ball. Great drill, do it with people. Really gives them the idea of feeling how they have to rotate their arm rather than just take it back straight where the tee just stays pointing straight out in front of them. So swing sent through the app where the horizon has kind of changed slightly, but we can bear that in mind. Drawn a line just on the shaft here. Some decent athletic movements in this swing. You can see the contact's not great. You can see the ball actually flies off and it's a complete top, I think. And the face, look at the twisting of the club head on the miss hit from that club moving on the off-centre hits. Now look, classic issue we see so much of. Pretty neat posture. Backswing has some strong elements to it. You're in not a bad position to hit the ball from what I can see from this angle. Obviously I'd prefer a better angle, maybe a little bit more not so leaning off to the right. But what we see is you come down, if we bring you down into impact, that shaft was on that yellow line to start. So the yellow line that you can see on your screen, look how the height you are delivering the shaft now. If your hands raise that high through impact, creating a decent strike is going to be so challenging, especially, well, with any club, but especially with a driver. Let's give you a drill to try and get you to not do that to quite such a severe angle. So the high hands coming up into impact that we see quite often at the moment, don't we, where lots of people sending swings through with the hands getting really high through impact. You can see from the strike, obviously, making it hard for him to hit. Look, a drill I do with students to get them to get a feeling of hitting, which to them, when I do it with them, it makes them feel like they're literally just hitting like this, almost, like the hands are just staying so low, so the handle, the bit you're holding on to, staying low rather than raising it up to hit the ball. Is I get them to take all the power away. This is a 6-iron. I get them to try and feel like they're hitting it just head high, 50 yards out in front of them, where they feel like their hands can't get above their hips. So really just push the club back low, handle back low, and then just push it through low. And try and feel how low those hands feel, how they feel much more kind of semicircle swung, rather than often when they do their full swings, they're trying to go straight, which is often where the high hands are coming from. And then building that into a few full swings, So just literally just chipping them out there, really trying to get the handle low through impact, trying to just feel like they're just literally coming around and around, no power. And then I want them to try and get that feeling bled in, so they do 3 or 4 of those, and then they try and feed that feeling into a fuller shot and work the two together to get rid of this kind of raising up into impact. Hope that helps. So Philip asks, Mark, please discuss the difference with the offline numbers that come up with these two clubs. Does that mean the MP54 is going to be more accurate? Please explain, cheers. Right, Philip. So Philip has watched a video where I've probably compared a club up with another club. So I'm showing you launch data. So how fast the club's moving, how the ball speed as it comes off the face, what kind of spin axis it's moving on, and spin totals, so backspin totals. Also maybe how high it's going, and carry, those kind of things. And in those videos, what happens is I hit 3 shots with real balls using GC2 HMT on the floor to measure the data, and then I deliver that subject to the two clubs. Now, I'm not particularly trying to find target. I'm literally just trying to swing the same way with each club. Now, what happens with those videos is sometimes, so on that video, the 54 obviously went a little less offline than the other club I was comparing it to. Now, if we were to do this test over and over again with 3 clubs, what you would find, and I have found, and maybe this is another video in the making, is none of them are straighter than another one. Because the shape of the head is not particularly making me deliver the club in a different way. So the only reason the other club went maybe further left or further right than the other club is because on those 3 isolated shots, I happened to hit it that way. So if you give me 10 balls here, not every ball's going to rifle at the flag. I'm going to have a dispersion left and right. It's not subject to cavity back blade, more weighted here, more weighted there, those kind of things. Even though the weight can affect it, on an iron generally it won't, as in because they're all going to be weighted relatively for a neutral flight. Bits of offset, those kind of things are in there. But for me, when I've tested offset to non-offset, I hit them equally as straight, subject to my delivery. So talking about the offline numbers is a different, more in-depth video really, but that's not going to be so much to do with the fact that's a bladed iron hitting up against the cast iron. I definitely, me personally, don't find I hit one straighter or more offline than another. It's more that you've got an isolated 3 shots that I'm just trying to show you my kind of distance and launch data with. The left and rightness is all my doing, so all my lack of doing in some cases. Hope that helps. Thanks for the question, and we'll speak to you all soon. So another swing sent through the app. A little bit of a push slice going on with that shot. I like the shots where you can see the ball at night. Look, what we see is an okay backswing. Common issue that we're seeing a lot in these shows at the moment. If we just trace your hand path down, there we go, it's coming on that path. What we're seeing is that shaft is just simply not getting below that hand path enough and actually gets out in front. It's level with it now. The head of that Club is just here, blurring a bit on the camera and in the light, just about to get out in front of you. Now the club is going to have to be pulled quite heavy, so pulled quite hard with your hands this way, very hard, and into the left, which is what we see. Club swinging left, face pretty square to target, to maybe 1 degree open subject to that strike. So it's a ball starting down the target, maybe a 1-2 degree push with cut. So you're swinging left with the face square to target. We need to get you trying to get that path moving in a different way. We need to try and get you feeling that you're swinging the club head considerably more out to the ball. We need the club moving more out to the ball rather than so much coming into the left. Let's give you a drill. So great drill for this. You got to get that feeling of trying to hit out to the ball, so the club handle is spinning, rotating out to the ball, so not spinning but spinning. Okay, so the handle is rotating, say, around the middle point of the handle rather than rotating around the axis of the shaft. You want to get the one where the handle is rotating out to the ball. So for you, because you set that handle quite steep, shaft quite steep on the way down, steeper than that hand path, it's always going to have a tendency to want to swing to the left, like we see. So literally a case of trying to hit a few shots where you feel like you're hitting out to the ball. Now when I do this with people, it feels really odd at the start. I want you just to set up, take a kind of 3/4 backswing, just where the club's more parallel to the ground. Then what I want you to do is just set the club behind you. It's almost that the butt end of the club is pointing out to the ball. Now this isn't what you want to do so much in your swing, but it gives you the feeling of spinning the handle out to the ball. Now the task at hand here is to try and get the handle to spin around to the target with an impact in there. Very hard to do, and a sensation for someone who's so used to hitting this way, to get the handle to throw out to the ball like this at the bottom always feels really, really strange. So for me doing this, it feels slightly strange, but it feels like it's quite manageable. It feels like it's something I could do. I could hit the ball just chipping it forwards that way. You can see I'm making contact with those. For me, as soon as I get that handle more out in front of my hands, I mean, I can do it, but that feels much more fudged, less natural than the handle just spinning out to the ball. Give that one a practice. So a bit of a wood hitting session here on the range. Seeing a lot of movement in the downswing here. If we take you up to the top, where we need to think about trying to get this hip to go, so left hip, so in turn both hips, going this way a lot more. At the moment they're spending a lot of time simply going around and back on themselves, so they're just rotating. So downswing, if we bring you down through, what happens is we see the big spin out. That always causes the right foot to move backwards, as we can see here, the right foot kick out, because you've got your left hip actually spinning so far back on itself, it's pushing the weight down, and you're actually spinning around this right foot. We need to get you moving your weight forward. Spinning around your foot this way is very good for creating a path, not always, but creating a path which goes to the left with the club, which can create pulls, pull draws, slices, push cuts. I mean, it can do anything. Common kind of shot from there definitely is a ball starting a target, curving off to the right. So let's give you a drill, see if we can get you getting your weight into that ball rather than just spinning out of it. Okay, this one's hard for people because they're so kind of conditioned into trying to just spin their hips through impact. Obviously forgetting the lateral movement needs to be in there as well as the rotation. For people, what I get them to do with this kind of action, and I get a lot of success with this actually, it just feels very awkward for them at the start, is I get them to try and hit the ball where they feel like they stay side on with their hips. So they literally just feel like they're moving forward. Try and get them not to rotate their hips at all. Get the arms to pass ahead of the hips as the hips stay side on. Obviously that's taking it to an extreme. You wouldn't want someone to physically do that every time in their shot, but just giving them the feeling of hitting the ball more side on, they will naturally put the right amount of rotation in. Bear in mind they're putting too much in. Basically it just takes too much rotation out, add that kind of lateral shift in there, kind of really balances them a bit, even though they feel like they're staying side on. So I mean, I can actually achieve it, so I will hit shots on showing that I want them to feel like they're hitting the ball like this. That's gone to target, half distance but well struck. So what happens is my arms go ahead of my body, ahead of my hips, where my hips just hang on, staying side on, while moving laterally across. Great drill for people who are giving it the big right foot spin, hip spin to hit the ball. Really does kind of balance them out. So if you like what's going on here, don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel. Also thumbs up the video, post comments, love to hear what you guys got to say. Let's keep it social. The more we talk, the more we share, the easier this game will get for everybody. So if you want to find me on Facebook here, you can find me on Facebook. If you want to tweet me, find me on Twitter here as well. Just follow the links, all in the description. Come and join the show, get active, get involved, get playing some better golf. Thanks for watching.